A few weeks ago, I watched a video by Lau from Kenshin Crafts where he talked through 20 fountain pen preferences. And then shortly after, I watched a video by Helena from Tiny Tiger Co. where she also recorded her responses. I enjoyed both of those videos so much, and with their encouragement, I have decided that I would like to talk through my preferences, to go down this list of 20 questions that Lau came up with and see what comes up. I haven't done any preparation other than writing down the 20 preferences that we'll be going through. And so this doesn't get too boring to watch, I have also brought some of my fountain pens. I have no idea how long this video is going to be. I know that I can be long-winded, so just in case, I'm going to invite you to settle in and grab yourself something to drink, maybe a snack, and something to keep you cozy while we hang out and have a pen chat. So first, I just want to thank Lau for putting together this list of really interesting questions. And I also really want to thank Helena because I enjoyed watching her videos so much that I thought, maybe it would be fun to see what my preferences are as I go through this. So for my drink, I've got a hot water. And for my snack, I have some grapefruit. So you'll have to bear with me as well. I'm still figuring out the lighting situation in this office. Turns out when you paint an entire room a dark green or a medium to dark green, you make it very difficult to film videos. And while I probably should have thought of that when we were choosing a color, I love the way this office looks so much that I think it is worth maybe having some subpar lighting for videos, and it gives me an opportunity to experiment and learn other ways to lighten up the videos. Okay, so let's get right into it. Before I move on to the preferences, I just wanted to call out these really fun stickers. This is the A5 journal sticker sheet that I got from Georgia Journals. I am obsessed with the way Georgia Journals completes her Hobonichi cousin pages. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't matter what book she is in. I think she just has the most interesting maximal style, and she's so reflective and contemplative and inspiring with the way she approaches her journaling. So I was really happy to pick up some stickers from her, and I've been slowly peppering them in through my journals because I'm trying to savor them. Okay, all right, so let's get into the fountain pen preferences. So number one is flat tops or cigar shape. As an indecisive person, I actually think it's going to be really hard for me to be all one way or the other, and I think that's okay. So for this one, I'm actually going to say both, but if I had to choose, I think I'm going to default to my beloved Pilot Custom 823 because I'm pretty sure this is my favorite pen of all time. So considering this is a cigar shape, I will say, if I had to choose, a cigar shape. The next one is gold or silver trim. I am very much in the gold trim camp. I just love the way it pops against darker colors. So I really love pens that are darker in color. Of course, I have my pink pens, but I really love browns and I really love black and most contrasting colors. And I find that the yellow gold just is very warm and it tends to pop really well with the dark colors. So given the opportunity, I will always choose gold trim for my pens. So the next one is posted or unposted. I have recently been writing with some of my pens unposted. For me, it's kind of a default mode to want to post my pens. So I know a lot of people tend to write with their custom 823 unposted. It's quite a comfortable pen, and it actually does fit really nicely unposted. But personally, I find that it's like a cozy feeling. I feel like the pen just feels more cozy when I post it, and I actually like the balance of, I like how the cap adds more weight onto the end. I don't know why, but that is my preference. So I'm going to go with posted. However, I did get this Esterbrook Bunga Box collaboration pen, and I find that this one, it doesn't feel like it posts very well. Like, it's possible, but it doesn't kind of tuck into the pen. Like, the body of the pen doesn't tuck into the cap as comfortably. So I always get nervous that I'm gonna I'm gonna crack the lid. So I started writing with this pen unposted, and it feels a little more comfortable than I thought. So previously I was like, I never want to write unposted, but now I'm kind of coming around. Same with my Benu Euphoria. So this is a very big pen, and it technically posts, but it's quite uncomfortable. It just feels too long, and I also worry about how it doesn't quite tuck in very easily. So I worry about cracking it. Like, I have to use a little more force to make sure that it's stable. Whereas, going back to my favorite pen, this just fits so well both ways. And again, I just love this pen. Okay, cartridge, converter, or internal fillers. So this is where I am a little conflicted. So if I were to default to my favorite pen, I guess I would say internal filler, because it is nice that this is a vacuum fill and it can take so much ink. So I think that is a really big positive of vacuum fill or piston fill pens, that you can fit so much. However, I find this pen kind of annoying to clean, and I know that's not uncommon for people who have the custom 823. So I did get the 743. This is a Falcon nib. Absolutely love the nib. And I thought maybe I would prefer the 743 because it's basically the 823, the same nib size, but it's a cartridge converter instead of an internal filler. And honestly, if I had to choose between these two pens, I would still choose the 823. There's something about this amber color that really appeals to me. I just think it's such a classy pen, and right now I've almost used up the ink that I have it inked with, so it's looking kind of naked in the middle, but when you fill this up with ink, it looks like a solid pen. So I actually normally I prefer like a solid body, but this one, when it's full, it does have that appearance. And I think because this has the vacuum, there's metal in the middle of the pen, it makes it a bit heavier. So I just feel like this is it feels better in my hand. It has a bit more weight to it. So I do like how much easier cartridge converter pens are to clean, but I still would pick this one over the 743. Bottled ink or samples. So I think I'm kind of on the fence about this one as well. I do love samples because you can try out a lot of different inks, and you're not committing to a full bottle. But a lot of inks that I really like, so my favorite brands are Sailor, Pilot. Those are actually my favorite two brands. I mean, there's a lot of other inks out there that I have yet to try. So admittedly, my experience is limited, but there's so many Sailor inks that I just love, and I find that they tend to be harder to get samples of. So I tend to buy bottles of ink when I really want to try a Sailor ink because it's just harder for me to get a sample. So I think if samples were a little easier to get in Canada, the main place I go to for my samples is Wonder Pens, and they tend to offer a lot of samples, but you're limited to the inventory that they have at the time. So because my ink preferences lean towards Sailor inks and Pilot inks, and samples can be harder to get, I think I'm kind of gonna say bottled ink for this one. Okay, number 6 is subtle or flashy. So if you've been watching my channel for a while, this probably isn't going to be a surprise answer, but I tend to choose pens that are more subtle than they are flashy. I would say the flashiest pen that I have that I consider to be flashy is this Benu Euphoria, which I do think is beautiful, and I think by Benu's standards is a relatively subtle pen compared to some of their really flashy designs. And then the other one that I consider flashy, and people may agree or disagree, is this Bungu Box Esterbrook collaboration pen. I keep forgetting what this is called, but it's kind of flashy in that it's really bright, and it's this, pink and gold demonstrator pen. It's very different than what I would normally choose on a daily basis, but it still has a subtlety, it still is kind of a subtle design. It's kind of uniform, and that's what I really like about this one too, is that even though they're kind of flashy, they're also still kind of understated. I would say subtle is what I would go for, or is my preference. I tend to go for more classic, will stand the test of time kind of design. And I know that's going to be different for everybody, but this is just what I tend to gravitate towards, and that hasn't really changed yet throughout my fountain pen journey. The next one is ink window or no ink window. So I would say very few of my pens have ink windows. The closest really is like a demonstrator style pen, like this Pilot Custom 823. So most of my pens are solid, and I will say I do prefer that look. I understand the utility of an ink window. And yes, I'm often, opening my pen and checking how much ink that I have, how much ink I have left in my cartridge. I don't see that as a nuisance. I'm just so used to it at this point. So I don't mind personally, and I just like the look of a solid pen more than, aside from this one. This was the first demonstrator style pen that I felt like I liked. I actually initially wasn't the biggest fan of the TWSBI demonstrator style pens, which is why I avoided them for a while, but I have come around to appreciate them. I think they're wonderful writers, and I do think being able to see your ink level has a lot of benefits that I now appreciate. But in the beginning, that wasn't my preference, and I would say even now I would still prefer a solid pen. Okay, the next one is twist cap or snap cap. So I would say most of my favorite pens are twist caps. So from that perspective, twist caps. I will say that another favorite is a click cap. I don't know if that a retractable cap. is my other favorite. So when it comes to taking quick notes throughout the day when I'm in meetings, this is my go-to pen still. And I have acquired some other retractable pens since, and I've come to realize that I really think I just need one. So when it comes down to it, I still prefer to do most of my writing with my favorite pens, which happen to be twist caps. And when it comes to taking notes, I really just need one. So I am thinking about rehoming some of my retractable pens soon, because I'm just not reaching for them, but I'm still reaching for this one. Okay. Gold nibs or steel nibs? This answer changes depending on what pen has a hold on me in that moment. So my first few pens were steel nibs, like this Kaweco Sport, and I ended up the first steel nib that I got that really made me fall in love with fountain pens was actually my Pilot Metropolitan. I don't have those anymore in my collection, but I was absolutely in love with them, and I was so in love with the Pilot Metropolitan that's why I ended up upgrading to my next pen after that, which was this Vanishing Point. And the reason why I upgraded at the time was because I didn't love how the Pilot Metropolitan felt in my hand. It was a very cold metal pen, and that's something else that I've realized is I'm not a big fan of like metal body pens. I much prefer this. This is a brass pen, I believe, but it's like coated so it doesn't feel cold in my hand. And then I think a lot of these are like resin pens. So I didn't really upgrade it because I wanted the gold nib. I really just was so in love with the writing experience of the Pilot Metropolitan, and I felt like that was the perfect experience that I was looking for, that I just wanted a pen that I liked in my hand more and that would have a bit more utility. Like I was really excited about this retractable aspect for note-taking for work. So most of my pens now tend to be gold nibs, but I wouldn't necessarily say that it's, well, I guess I would say it's kind of a preference. I would say gold. I mean, I have some steel nibs that I think are wonderful writers, like my Twisby Eco. That's a beautiful writer. This Esterbrook is a steel nib, and it's a really wonderful writer. So, but I don't think anything really beats the writing experience of this pen and my Platinum Gold Nib pens. I absolutely adore writing with those, so I guess I have a preference for gold nibs. Okay, the next one is basic nib grinds or special custom grinds. This one's kind of easy to answer because at this point in time, I don't have any special custom grinds. All of the pens that are in my collection are pens that, like nibs that just came with the pen. And I have really only tried special custom grinds when I'm trying someone else's pen. So, just based on personal experience, I would say basic nib grinds. Number 11 is planner or journaler. I would say that I am pretty firmly in the both camp. My planner is something that I use every day and I lean on it every day, but it's not something that I feel that emotionally tied to. I just use it because it helps me function. So it's not something I really decorate or take pride in taking time to, make it look a certain way. but I do use it and I do lean on it, and I do love it for the fact that it helps me stay on track with my life. I would say journaling is something that I do genuinely love and enjoy and consider almost kind of a hobby, because I spend a lot of time journaling in different ways. So, in terms of enjoyment and time spent willingly, I guess I would say journaling is probably the preference, but at the same time, I do love my planner, and it does have a lot of utility. Old Tomoe River paper or Sanzen paper is the next one. Definitely old Tomoe River paper. My first year in the cousin, I managed to get one of the final like Tomoe River paper planners, and I still have a 5-year Hobonichi that uses that older paper. And I absolutely love it. I didn't mind the Sanzen paper the following year, so in 2024. I didn't like it as much, but I was fine with it. I wasn't really that tied to the paper because I also really love MD paper, and I really love the Hobonichi layout, so it wasn't like I was only in the Hobonichi books for their paper. It was one of their biggest selling points, but it wasn't the only thing. And now that we've had this year of weird Sanzen paper, it has made me realize that I still really love Hobonichi, and even though their paper is not performing to the level that we've all come to know from Hobonichi, I still love enough about all of the other aspects of their books that I guess it wasn't as important as I thought it was, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I guess to answer this preference question, still, if old Tomoe River paper were still around, that would be my preference. But if Sanzen paper could go back to where it was in 2024, then I can live with that, because I do love how thin these pages are. And for something like a planner, I prefer it to be all in one, like all 1 year in one book. And that's really why I prefer the thinner paper, because I think even MD paper is a bit thicker, and a full year in MD paper would be a lot. Okay, the next one is soft or stiff gold nibs. So I am not sure if I fully understand the difference, to be honest. I did see this question when Lau answered it, and then again when Helena answered it. My first gold pens, I considered them to be very like bouncy compared to my Metropolitan steel nibs, which were very stiff. So I would have thought I would say soft, but when I write with my Pilot Custom A23 and I compare it to my Falcon nib, the Falcon nib is definitely more like bouncy or soft, as it's meant to be. So this one, in case you're unfamiliar with the Falcon nib, it has these cutouts on the nib, and that is intended to make it flex a little bit. It's not a proper flex pen, but it does have a bit of flex. I thought I was really going to like flex pens, and to be fair, I still haven't really tried like a proper flex nib, so I can't really say that I know. But if I'm choosing between these two pens for journaling, I thought I would prefer the Falcon nib, and I do love it. It's so expressive with inks, and it uses ink up really fast. So if you, it's really satisfying actually to journal with this. But there's a definite difference between writing with this pen and this one. I think this is much stiffer than this. So I don't really know if I had, yeah, so I think this would be considered more of a stiff gold nib. And if that's the case, I would say I do prefer this. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the Sailor nibs and the Platinum nibs are also very stiff, at least if I'm understanding that descriptor accurately. And I prefer those. So I actually don't think I'm much of a flex person, even though I thought I was. And I think I prefer stiff gold nibs, but that's depending on whether I'm understanding that descriptor accurately. Okay, the next one is shade, sheen, or shimmer. Definitely shade. I am starting to appreciate shimmer inks again because my Benu Euphoria in a stub nib is handling shimmer so beautifully. I inked this up with Ferris Wheel Press Bookkeeper's Brass, which is a color that I was a really big fan of and bought the bottle despite never having tried a sample. And when I first inked it in this pen, I was underwhelmed. But I think I hadn't given enough time for the ink to really work its way through the feed in this pen, because now I've been using it for almost a month, I think over a month. And every time I open up this pen, it writes perfectly. There's no hard starts. As an example, I don't know if you'll be able to see this with my lighting, but I've been using it to write out the days of the week in my weekly supplement. It's just really lovely. So I do enjoy shimmer inks a little more, but because I'm always so nervous about putting them in my other pens because I'm worried about the shimmer getting stuck in the feed and getting hard starts, it's not really an ink that I prefer. And then I have tried a few sheening inks, which I thought I would like, but I don't know. The few that I did end up trying, I just wasn't actually that much of a fan. So shading is definitely my preference, but I think I'm learning that shading inks can be on the drier side. So that can be tough because I really like having a smooth writing experience. And because shading inks can be drier, sometimes that is in conflict with that. So my preference is a shading ink that is still really smooth to write with. Okay, the next one is brand names or custom maker pens. Similarly to my answer for basic nib grinds or special custom grinds, I have only ever tried brand names. I don't have any custom maker pens, and I don't even think I've ever tried a custom maker pen from someone else. So I'm gonna say brand names, and maybe someday I will get a custom maker pen. I am eyeing one potentially for this year or maybe next year, but it's not something I have experience in, so I'll go with brand names. Number 16 is limited editions or standard editions. So I do have a few, I think, limited edition pens. I believe, for example, this is a limited edition. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I think maybe this one is a limited edition. This is the Sailor Pro Gear Slim Line Friends Brown Bear. I love this pen so much. So it's not that I don't like limited editions. Helena mentioned in her video that she prefers pens that are widely available, and I completely agree. So I know there are some special edition custom A23s out there. There's this beautiful green one. I think it might be called Rika, and I love green. So of course there was a moment where I was tempted. I also know there's I learned this from last year from someone's video for the 8 pen questions, that there's like a Mark style light brown Pilot Vanishing Point. It's beautiful, but I'm pretty sure it's impossible to get unless somebody is selling one of theirs secondhand. So I really appreciate, first of all, like I tend to gravitate for more neutral, classic looking pens anyway. But I love that I was able to go into Wonder Pens, try this out, and then be able to buy it that day. And with this one, it's the same thing. This is a color that is always available. And I personally think even the special edition ones don't excite me as much as this pen. Of course, that's because I prefer brown pens and I love gold trims, so I'm an easy audience. But I really love that you can get this at any point. Accessibility is really important to me. And overall, if I could choose, I like the idea of just being able to get pens that are widely available. New or used pens? I'm fine with either. I have a mix of new and used pens in my collection. So, for example, this was a secondhand pen that I got from Facebook Marketplace, and I got it for a really good price. It was in great condition, so I have no issues with getting secondhand pens. Um, yeah, I've gotten plenty. So, I mean, this 743 was also a secondhand pen that I got from Facebook Marketplace. So yeah, I'm fine with either. Demonstrators or non-demonstrators. So I'm gonna say for the most part, non-demonstrators is my preference, except with my favorite pen. Again, if we're gonna default to my favorite pen being my preference, then I guess you can say demonstrator. Basically, I see the value in them and the utility, but to me, a pen like this is just so beautiful. I wouldn't want this to have like a demonstrator style body. I just love like a classic solid pen. Okay. 19 is pen and ink matching or doesn't matter. I would say for the most part, I do prefer to have ink matching in some way, but to me, it's not like it needs to match the color. So I think another reason why I really like black pens and brown pens is because I think so many colors can go with these pen colors. Like when I first got this pen, I thought I was only going to put brown ink in here. And I was on the hunt for the perfect brown ink that I had intended on permanently marrying with this pen. But since then, I have tried so many different colors in here. And because I love this pen so much, I can't see myself sticking to just one color. So I've had a slew of different browns. I've also had blue. I've had green. Right now I have a yellow ink in here. And I think all of them match quite well to this pen. Like I think having a bright blue with a bright blue ink with this brown pen is like a beautiful combination. I think it works really well with earthy greens. So I like it to match on some regard, but I don't feel like it has to match exactly. So yeah, that's my answer. I guess pen and ink matching, but just a very generous definition of matching. So the last question is vintage or modern. So these are the only vintage pens that I have in my collection. This is, I think it's a Parker 51, if I'm not mistaken. Oops. And sadly, this pen is completely out of commission because there was a crack in the section, and I did try to get it fixed, but the Nibmeister who was going to work on it kept it for several months and wasn't able to find a replacement section. So he sent it back, and unfortunately I can't use it. I I do find that it's, when I was writing with it, this nib is beautiful. Like it was a gorgeous writer. But because of the crack in the section, I would just get pen ink all over my fingers when I wrote with it. Let me just put some of these away. This is another pen that my mom gave me. It's also a Parker. It's a Parker 45. I cleaned the whole thing out, and I just found that it was a little too skinny in my hand, like it wasn't that comfortable, and it was a very dry writer. So I don't know if it was the ink that I used, or I'm not sure, but I didn't really enjoy the writing experience, so I haven't used it since. And then this is the last pen. This is a Schaefer. I'm not sure what the model is. This was also from my mom, and I haven't cleaned it yet. I still need to. I think I got stuck because I can't figure out how to get this converter out. Maybe I need to soak it. I'm not too sure. So I need to probably research a video on it to figure out how to clean it. So yeah, I've never written with this pen. And actually, as I'm looking at it, I think the nib might be bent a little bit. So those are my vintage pens. I'm not currently using them. So I'm going to go ahead and say my preference is modern pens because I prefer to be able to use my pens, and I'm quite content with the pens that I have in my collection, and they are all modern. All right, well, that brings us to the end of the questions that Lau put together. So thank you so much for putting together such a fun set of questions. I love being able to reflect on where my fountain pen preferences are right now. I think it would be really curious to see in time how these preferences change as I gain more experience, maybe try different pens that I haven't had a chance to try yet. So yeah, I just want to thank Lau for putting this together. I also want to thank Helena for encouraging me to film my version of the video. I would love to know what your preferences are, either in the comments below, or if you have already filmed a video, or if you plan to film a video. I would love to watch your response to it, so feel free to leave that in the comments and I will check out your video as well. Otherwise, if you're still here, thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I hope you're doing well, and I'll see you soon in the next video. Bye.